Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So today, Saturday, I've been really busy. I've started work on filming my 7 Days of Halloween series. So, but then I realised that I didn't really have anything to put up on YouTube for this evening. So, depending on whether or not I can get this filmed, edited and up in time, then it'll go on Saturday night. But if you're watching this on Sunday or after that, then I didn't get a chance to actually sit down and thank you, printer, building your part up. Then I didn't get a chance to upload it in time for Saturday night. So I'll turn over to my overhead camera and show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so today I'm going to be working in my Black Dilutions journal. Now I'm almost finished this journal, but I have been working in this one for quite some time. So since the 22nd of November 2015 is when I first created a page in this journal. So yeah, it's not one that I use very often. It's not one that I pull out and use on a regular basis. So, but it is kind of coming towards its end. So I thought I would maybe try and use up some of these pages. I'm going to be using this journal for one of my 7 Days of Halloween art journal projects. So you will see it get used again. But I thought today I'm going to use, because it's a black page, I'm going to use the majority of colours that are going to be darker, with a few lighter coloured highlights, obviously. So I've gone through my collection of digi images that I've collected over the years for either art journal projects or for day job stuff, and I came across this fantastic it was an ex libris book plate that has been coloured in, and I just thought it was fantastic. So I've printed it off and then just cut a little line, or left a little border all the way around using a craft knife. But it's the colours that I want to look at today. So you've got reds, blues, a little bit of maybe like purpley colour in there, and black. So I've gone through my collection of paints and I've pulled out, this is cherry red, and I've got true blue, which kind of go. I've also pulled out my dioxazine purple. These are all Deco Art Americana paints. Don't use purple very often, as people who watch my YouTube videos know, because it's not one of my favourite colours. But I've also got Williamsburg blue. I've also got dark chocolate. So those are going to form the basis of the colours for this art journal page, the background. And then for the highlights, I've got sea aqua and light buttermilk. So those are the ones that I'm going to be creating some highlights with on the page. And I'm not going to stick down any backing papers or under papers or anything like that. I'm just going to create some texture through scraping paint with a scalpel, a spatula, doing some mark making, and with some stencils. So the first thing I want to do is to create a kind of darker background. Now I have to remember to always shake these up. So I'm just going to put 3 dots on there and then just scrape down. I'm just going to start to build up a kind of pattern, well I say a pattern, just some scratched texture. And of course I'll need a baby wipe just to quickly wipe off. But what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to allow that time to dry, and I'm going to start introducing some of those other darker colours. into it. But I'm going to do it in strategic places on the page that I can scrape across. And then the same thing again, let's just wipe that off. I can start mark making. And just try and build up some texture in that background. So again, darker colour, this time in the purple. And I'm just being a little bit careful about where I'm adding it. I'm not adding a huge amount. I'm going to turn the page and then just scrape down. Or in that case, up. Just play with the way the paint is sitting on the page. You don't have to have anything too figurative, and you don't have to have anything which actually resembles anything. So an abstract background is just that. It's abstract. It's not supposed to look like anything. And again, just do the same thing. Down. Maybe a little bit more, just there. I'm not bothered too much about this area here because that's where the focal point's going to go. But scrape up and scrape down. Get those marks going in all different directions. Get the paint to do something different. Okay, so the next one is that Williamsburg blue. So a different shade of blue. Just make sure that the binder inside the paint is actually mixed. We put that there. And again, cool. Okay, I'm kind of liking that. So I'm going to dry that off, and then once that's set, I'll be back. Now that the page is dry, that brown has kind of disappeared a bit more into the background. So I want to just add a little bit more, just bring it back into the foreground just a tad. So I'm just going to do one more little, two or three little more areas, just to kind of bring that back in. do exactly the same thing as I did before. And remember, it will die back. So that should do it. So that's now brought that back into the foreground. So I'll just quickly give that a dry, and then we're ready to start adding some more texture with the stencils then. So I'll show you which ones I've pulled out of my collection. Okay, so that brown has now dried, so I'm going to bring in one of my stencils. This is the quatrefoil stencil. So, and I need some sponge, so cosmetic sponge, there we go. So I'm going to create a little bit of lightness now, so just a little bit of that paint. Just load up that sponge, and then I'm just start to introduce a little bit just fading towards the edges. Just create a little bit of texture, and then be down at the bottom. Like that, and then just to create that little kind of visual triangle, just add some over this side where there's not much colour, and then just bring that in. Nice little bit of texture in the background. So again, get that dried off. Okay, so that pattern's dry. So the next one, I'm going to bring in buttermilk, bit of crusty paint on the top there, just add a little bit onto the mat. And I've got my bubble wrap stencil. This is the new bubble wrap stencil. So again, I'm just going to use the other side of the sponge and load that up. I don't mind if there's a little bit of cross-contamination in this. And I'm just going to add a little bit of that along with and next door to that quatrefoil. You can see I'm just pouncing around. I'm not going in any particular pattern. Just to create a little bit more texture. And then lastly, I've got the split circles, again another one from my collection, and this time I'm going to go in with some of that purple, and I'm going to just kind of knock it back a little bit, because this will disappear and create a nice kind of dark patch, if you like. Clean foam. So if I just go over so you can just see, purple doesn't cover on black brilliantly, but if you use it just to tone down and just give hints of colour, it does work, and you can just add in just bits of texture. It's a little bit more translucent, so you can see through it. It's not as opaque as some of the others, as you can see, but you can still see the pattern and the colour just ever so subtly, which is exactly what I want. Okay, so I'm going to get this dried off, and then I'm going to clean this up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, that's all dry now, so I'm going to bring in the focal point and just lay it down on the page. Now you can see how the colours tone in, but I think it needs a little bit more red. So I'm going to bring some red into the foreground, make it a little bit more prominent because the image did cover a little bit of it up. So I'm going to put a little bit there, and I've actually got a piece of bubble wrap and a brush, so I'm just going to take some of that. I don't think this red is very opaque, so I'm going to just introduce some of that red over the top of where we brought the brown in, and maybe just a little bit more, just lightly, in those gaps where the stenciling is. So I'm just looking around the page thinking, yeah, there's a bit of a gap there, there's a bit of a gap there, maybe a little bit there. Can't really see that, so I might go over that a little bit more heavy. Maybe over that Williamsburg blue a little bit. Ah, that's better. You can see it more now. I'm just going to go over that a second time down there. That'll do it. Okay, so once again, I need to get that cleaned up, dried off, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the red is dry. So if I bring the image back in again now, you can see that there is something now pulling all that together. It kind of blends into the background. Now, it does suffer a little bit having that white background or the white border all the way around, but it does kind of pull in from here as well. So I think I'm quite happy with that background. Happy enough that I'm actually going to peel the back off, because I did print this off on sticker paper. Which I'm quickly running out of. So I may have to restock up on some more. Okay. So I think I'm going to put it out there. Just give it a gentle rub. There we go. So now that's down, I want to kind of bring that whiteness into it. So I'm actually going to create a bit of a border. I normally do these last, but I think it needs it now. So I'm going to just use in a Sigma white uniball, the white opaque uniball pen. I'm just going to create a little bit of a border. Now I don't normally use a straight edge, but in this instance I am doing. I would normally do this by hand, but I think I just want the formality of some proper straight lines. and there's nothing wrong with that. And the lines are broken, which is cool. So they're still kind of grungy and in keeping. Now that's kind of added that frame around it. It does help. It really does help, I think, just to kind of bring it all together onto the page. So I just need now to add a little bit of a quote or a phrase, and maybe some doodle dots just in the corners. Doesn't need a lot. Okay, so I'll let that dry, or encourage it to dry, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so the border is now dry, so I've printed off a little phrase on the computer. Now I did consider stamping, for a change, the phrase out on the page, because I think it probably would have worked if I'd have used white ink. Now I do have an opaque white ink pad somewhere, but I haven't seen it for a good few weeks. So I've obviously left it out somewhere and it's got tidied up, and I've got no idea where I've put it. Now that would have worked, but hey ho, maybe another time. So literally I've just printed this out on the computer. I've done it on a black background with white out text, because it's going to be more in keeping with the rest of the page. So again, I've just done it quickly on sticker paper just because it's easy, and it's a bit thicker as well than ordinary paper, so I could have printed it on cardstock and then glued it down, but do you know what, sticker paper is just so easy. And of course I've got to try now peel the back off. That's it. I've got a real thin strip, I think. So, and I'm going to put it just down here to start off with. Of course, as you can tell, this is one of those periods when I've been doing quite a lot of other stuff, creative stuff. I've been creating videos and projects for Halloween, so I've been in Halloween kind of mode for the past few days. So when it came to actually sitting down to do something which wasn't Halloween, I was kind of stumped, didn't really know what to do. So that's when I kind of started hunting around on the computer for an image that kind of sparked some inspiration. Which is another way of, you know, if you have lost your mojo, see what you've got in your stash, see if you've got any images that you could use, that you haven't used yet, that you've been holding on to, or it might just be a picture with a particular colour scheme that might start your mojo juices going. In this instance, that's exactly what it was for me. It was the colours. It was the colours of the books. And just to draw attention to those, I will go around kind of like the opposite to what we normally do. We normally draw black boxes around phrases, but let's do this a little bit different and do white ones. I think this pen's starting to run out. Time to order some new ones. I normally buy these pens by the box full. best, in my mind anyway, in my opinion, they're the best opaque white pen for writing on paint. That's why I buy them in bulk. I think I've only got 2 left. And there we go. I think that is going to do it. In fact, I'm just going to sign it down here. What is it today? It's 14th. There we go. That'll do it. So that's it. That's my art journal page for the day. So just a painted background with a little bit of texture thrown in with the stenciling. Primarily just mirroring the colours in the main focal point. So I've taken the colours from that for the colour scheme for the art journal page, and I think that really does help to bring it all together and to make it a kind of cohesive art journal page. You may not like the subject matter, you might not like the patterns, you might not like the colours. Hey ho, I do, and it's my art journal page, and that's all that really matters. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.